afternoon we are talking about compliance in corporate organization, and our case study will be the great Adidas. Thank you for your attention.
Okay, for starting, it's important to remark that for Adidas, as a relevant management practice, they say that their business activities are oriented toward the legal systems in the various countries and markets in which they operate, and this implies a high level of social and environmental responsibilities. So we can say that these responsibilities are framed by the regulations, if these regulations are internal policies or if they are external laws. So as definition, we have that compliance with law as well as with external and internal regulations. Every employee here in Adidas is required to act ethically and in compliance with the law as well with external and internal regulations while executing the company's business or activities. Why we can say also that the Adidas compliance management system is organizationally linked to the company's risk and opportunity management system, because they are well committed to track, to monitor, to analyze, to evaluate all these potential compliance or non-compliance that can occur, or if they can track them, like while it's starting, they develop this system that it's called whistleblowing, that they have a hotline to call or even an email to inform if someone is wrongdoing or if there is a potential non-compliance in the way. And for the last, fair play compliance framework, we can say that their code of conduct stipulates guidelines for behavior in everyday work, which all employees are obliged to comply with this. So they are very, very committed to and to establish clearly what are the behavior or the rules that must be followed, either for the day-to-day activities in the work and in a more general meaning for the company's activities as well.
Okay, talking about how Adidas organization deals with complying. First, they make sure that they comply spanning all business functions, from their marketing to human resources to production to costing to financial department to their supply chain. They make sure that they are conforming to the rules and regulations, either in the internal rules or the external rules. Also, the compliance management system is based on OECD principles. So what is OECD? OECD means Organization for Economic Cooperation and Development. This principle is to promote policies that will improve the economy and social well-being of people around the world. So Adidas makes sure that they conform to this principle, that the environment, they are complying to the rules and regulation of the environment, they are making sure they don't go against all these rules. And code of conduct is the cornerstone of their management system, and their compliance management system is based on 3 pillars. First, the prevention, detection, and the response. So how do they prevent? They prevent by giving a training program for awareness for compliance violation. They make sure they train all their employees about all the rules and regulations they must follow. So that is the first way they prevent it. So if you know it, if you know the rules, then you know what to do. And how can they detect if one department or an employee is not conforming to these rules and regulations, they can detect by whistleblowing procedures to allow employees to report compliance with violation. Probably I'm in the sales department and I'm seeing this is not, I've been trained that we should not do this. Then I can blow a whistle, that is the town, then tell whoever is in charge that so is going on in my department and this is not supposed to be so. So they can detect it this way. And how do they respond? When someone has blown a whistle, they can track, monitor, and report potential accidents using a web-based reporting solution. They make sure that if they notice any department or any employee or any of the processes is not conforming to the rules and regulations, they have a very good compliance management system to take care of these faults.
So in Adidas, they do follow many compliances law, but we have identified few of the main ones. The social compliance law and the tracer policy is mainly all the transactions that happen in Adidas is followed through this particular compliance law. And they follow the compliance with corresponding to conditions of bond is in Adidas they can have only 36 million of shares. So they cannot have more shares than this particular value. And they do have regulatory compliance. Regulatory compliance is something when a business unit or a big business company wants to do a business, then they follow certain rules or laws. Those comes under regulatory compliance. And they do have compliance with equality principle. It's something like human rights or all humans are same instead of gender and discrimination. Then they do have compliance with risk management policy. The way the risk department handles the risk, they do follow some policies for that as well. And then we found a very interesting point in Adidas. They do also rate their suppliers. It's not that only Adidas follow the compliance. It's also that they want their suppliers to follow the rules and regulations. So what they do, every year they do rate their suppliers basis on a particular ratings. They have provided one table which can see in the next screen. And after doing this, there was a slight decrease in the high performing suppliers that they had. And for sustainability performance, it also monitors workplace standards. It's like they do investigate their suppliers' factory as well as their own offices. So these are the sum of the grades that they have defined for the suppliers. We can find it in the PDF. And this were the potential violation that happened in 2016. There were total 331 violations, which were some of them were financial, some of them behavioral, and some of them were other violations.
Talking about the responsibilities, the Adidas company, they have a global system. They have a local compliance officer. The local compliance officer, they report to the chief compliance officer directly, and also they create monthly KPI systems, and the KPI system is reported by the compliance department to the executive board, and also the chief compliance officer report to the CEO directly and regularly. Also, these reports are submitted to the audit committee. To make sure the company rules. For the internal, regarding the financial aspect, it's an internal consolidated financial reporting policies. It's called financial manual. This is a internal regulatory, and also externally they are in compliance with FRS, and to make sure the compliance with statutory regulation and internal guidelines, the company, the Adidas company, they require their employees to follow the ASIC rules and external regulations while they're working in the company. And for the workplace standards, this is the Supply Chain Code of Conduct is established in 1977, and it's a contractual obligation signed by the company to ensure the workers' health, safety, and the environmental aspects. And to make sure the enforcement of these standards follow the International Labour Organization and the United Nations conventions. To implement these standards, the compliance department, they hold regularly the social compliance and environmental audit, and also they make assessment of their suppliers based on a special rating system, as my colleague Dipti mentioned before. And the compliance department, they work together with risk management department. They have a systematic assessment of key compliance risks on quarterly basis, and these are the responsibilities of Adidas company here.
So, looking at the compliance risk resolution and effects, so there are various risks that are faced by the compliance. Like first of all, it's a customer tax regulation. So there was a currency translation that happened previously last year, in Adidas, which caused a very good amount of operational cost and also legal and regulatory cost to Adidas. So these are kind of few risks. Then there are environmental regulation void risk. So the company has a policy that if there is any complaint for the compliance, they ask for they have a personal hotline from which people can address their complaints. So looking at the stats, there were 37% of anonymous calls to hotline, 33% name calls, and 30% directly to the complaints officer, that is the CCO. So this is what happens actually. Compliance department investigate upon the violations that they receive from the calls and from the mails. Then it is reported to CCO, the Chief Compliance Officer, who promptly reply to the confirmed compliance violation, and which further helps him to terminate the employees. Thank you. That's it. Any questions?
Before concluding, I would like to say Adidas really follows the compliance rules. As part of 2016, they terminated 10 employees because of the compliance violation. So compliance is nothing but following the rule. It might be external or it might be company's internal rules and regulations. So it's just for the benefits of the people as well as of the company.
And also, at the Adidas company, as a big company, has more than 60,000 employees in the world, and it is impossible for them to exclude all the compliance violations.
So 10 terminations from 60,000 is not so much. No? Okay, thanks a lot.